Welcome everyone to the Late Game episode 38. My name is Lycan. With me I have co-host In Control and Destiny and our first guest of the evening, Beastie Cutie. How you doing, Beastie?
I'm doing pretty well. Been practicing a lot for Legacy, and that's pretty much it.
Lots of
Not bad for a retired player, Beastie Cutie. Not
Yeah.
bad.
Well, every foreigner is a retired player, pretty much.
No.
Jesus.
You announced retiring, Beastie Cutie. You thought this was going to be a friendly show? Here it is.
Yeah, I did retire for about a year, but I came back.
Was it a year?
Yeah, it was actually a whole year.
So what the fuck are you still doing here? Are you dedicated? Or are you just waiting for Heroes of the Storm or Hearthstone to fucking pull you away? Do you even give a fuck about the community?
No, I'm not you. Came back because I have passion.
Got him.
Alright, good job.
Well played. All right.
You tried.
Dang memes.
Anyway, while I'm readjusting this the camera stuff, Jeff,
Uh-huh.
I have an important question for you.
I bet.
Superman and Beast from X-Men, right?
Yeah.
Who would be the best farmer?
See, this is part of the reason why I find Superman to be a boring character in general. I feel like anyone who asks me at all about Superman and X, unless it's another equally broken character, perhaps like the Hulk, but the Hulk can't fly, he can just jump forever. It's always Superman. He would absolutely be the best farmer.
Superman is that superhero when you're 7 years old, or if you're the guy that originally designed Yasuo in League of Legends, he's that guy where they're like, okay, well, my superhero is going to fight yours. And they're like, okay. And then the kid's like, okay, I have the Flash. I'm going to like zip around you real fast and then attack you. And he's like, no, Superman's faster than anyone.
Yep.
Okay, well then I'm I don't my superhero knowledge is really bad. So I'm really powerful I'm the Rock dude from the Fantastic Four, and I hit you as hard as I can. And he's like, no. Well, Superman can't be hurt by getting hit. Okay, well then I'm this superhero and I like arm wrestle you. No, Superman's the strongest. Okay, well then I'm gonna be somebody from Dragon Ball Z and fly around and shoot you. Okay, well Superman can fly. Okay, then I'm gonna laser. No, Superman is like everything he does is like the best at everything. Fuck Superman. I agree with In Control. He just seems like that hero that like somebody designed because they were fucking bored. Like what there was some superhero movie where a superhero had to make some choice between like saving his girlfriend, the Lois Lane chick or whatever, and then like saving the world, and he like fucked up and she died, and he like flew around the world so fast that time rewound. And then he saved them both. Like it was some like fuck Superman.
Steven is the guy that doesn't even like get this. So he's completely broken. In the fluff, he actually ends up dying, but he kind of, and I'm not going to go through details. Someone's going to be like, "That's incorrect, Jeff." But anyways, the general basic thing is he gets flown or somehow comes out of the sun and is basically God. He's basically God. He becomes, I think he's called Transcendent Superman or Superman Ultra. So someone in the chat will confirm, but it's something else. And all his powers are magnified times a million,
which were already infinite anyway.
Yeah. And it's
why doesn't Superman do some useful shit, like fly into a fucking black hole or go into the middle of a star and like get some information for some scientists? Why doesn't he actually do something that would like help the fuck?
Eventually. Oh yeah, okay. The comic's been around for like 40 years. He does everything. That's the other thing too, Steve. What do you want him to do? Already did it. Shut up. It's like that's Superman. Cool.
Okay, so everyone has been asked the question, what is your favorite superhero? So real quick, before we get things started, Steven, what is your answer to that question?
My knowledge is literally pop culture of superheroes. Like I haven't read any comics ever in my entire life, so I don't. I like superheroes that have to make like choices between like to become better people. I liked the first Iron Man movie a lot because it seemed like, at least for the beginning of the movie, like there's a lot of struggle and an internal conflict between Robert Downey Jr.'s character for when he has to become Iron Man and like he has to leave his ego and shit aside a little bit, right? That kind of disappears in the later two movies. But so I kind of like Iron Man there. I guess like Spider-Man is kind of cool because he has to learn, the difference between power and responsibility and, being egotistical and not caring about anything versus being a little bit more responsible, right?
Okay, so I like the deep thoughts you're going with that. Whatever, I phrased the question poorly.
Oh,
Who would you want to be if you could be a superhero?
Fucking Superman, obviously. What the fuck?
All right, Beastie.
I'd go with Batman.
All right,
that's pretty cool.
Jeff.
I actually like Todd McFarlane's Spawn as my favorite.
Oh
and
shit. Okay.
Steven, he's kind of someone you might like too. I don't know if you're into that kind of shit, but like, he is a little bit the anti-hero. He's actually
Oh! Sorry, go ahead.
he's a pretty fucked up guy. He actually goes to hell, and then the devil recruits him to be the general of his army. But then that's when he has a little bit of a crisis of like, maybe I don't want to lead the devil's army, and then becomes kind of a good guy who kills people a lot. It's awesome.
Okay, I changed my answer. I want to be the Punisher.
Punisher's pretty cool.
Is that what
Go
the
around.
O was?
Supposedly, there's a new movie
Yeah.
coming out, and they'll actually do it more right or something.
Because he doesn't give a... He's, like, actually, like, bad. Like, I can go around and kill people that, like, fuck with me online and not feel bad about it. Because that's, like, what he does, right? He's not actually, like, a real hero. And he's not even, like, an anti-hero. Like, he's just, like, a big asshole, right? Like, so, hell yeah, I want to be that dude.
Well, his
But I
family
don't
gets
think-
butchered, and then he just kills everyone out of spite and rage.
Yeah.
I could never decide between Spider-Man and Goku. I know Goku's technically not a superhero, but he's got the, I always wanted that shit, man. So,
Sure.
all right, cool. Well, we're going to kick off the late game episode 38. First off, let's start with WCS Season 3 premiere, groups A through D. And let's pop those bad boys up. Jeff, you were there casting. How was the event?
It was really, really nice. Selfishly speaking, I just came back from Gfinity, so I was really tired from travel, but to go from my house to Oakland, Oakland to Burbank, and Burbank to the studio is like a 2-hour round trip, everything I just said. So as far as traveling for a premiere event for me goes, that's pretty fucking awesome. They treated us really, really nice down there. That's where we live that posh, dank caster lifestyle, like constantly, food and feed available. They're nice. Travel between hotel and venue very short, and then short casting days. It was long. It was 4 casting days, A through D. But for how important WCS is for these players and for the quality of players and casters I got to work with, it was all around just a 2 thumbs up, 100% awesome event.
Yeah, who's your favorite person to work with this weekend?
Ooh, this weekend? Well, I love Nathanius and Huck, but it's like, unfortunately for them, Rotterdam is such a fucking teddy bear and so absolutely adorable to work with. He also, to be honest, he finds my jokes really funny, so he's actually one of my favorite people on the entire planet Earth. I can usually get him to laugh until I can't speak anymore. I didn't this last time, though, but it's just so much fun working with him, so it's definitely Rotterdam.
Okay. So you were probably the one who followed it the most. Was there any big upset for you in this weekend?
Big upset? No, nothing like, like a Hydra or Polk getting knocked out or something like that. But Petraeus literally going back to school and still qualifying from a WCS group is really impressive. Haas almost upsetting his group with the cheesiest of, like, if Greg watched that, like, if you really want to kickstart an amazing event, you'll like kickstart flying Steven and Idra and probably a Velo into the same room and just having them watch Haas play his WCS group. Like, it is absolutely rancid, disgusting how much cheese. Like,
I saw
it's
the
like
tweets.
Like, I'm okay with cheese. Like, everyone should be, like, philosophically, everyone should be okay with cheese because that is a strategy. But to, like, follow cheese up with more cheese, with more cheese, with more cheese every single game, it gets to a certain point. I can't remember who I was sitting next to. I was, like, sitting next to Rotterdam or something like that. I was like, I just want to punch him. I just want to get over. I want to walk over there and hit him in the face. More than anything to see if he'd get back up and still fucking cheese. He'd be like, what the fuck? You'd be like, get him out of here. And he'd sit back down and be like, Jesus Christ. Proxy DTs it is. Like, good God, But it was really fun.
I guess was pretty upset with his first game against Haas, but he came back with a vengeance.
Oh, yeah.
Got a nice snapshot out of that.
Elfie getting out too is a little bit of an upset. Not as much. Calazar's definitely an up-and-coming talent, but up-and-coming means volatile as well. It doesn't mean they're rock solid. And you could see the pressure getting to him. He had the most emotional response to losing, which was it's pretty heartbreaking to watch because WCS, guys, for those that don't know, I guess, is everything to a pro gamer right now. If you're not competing well in WCS, you are not competing well in StarCraft 2. So it's pretty intense that way. Showtime, another guy that's up and coming, losing out to Sen, who's been around for a long time, but Sen really did not impress, I would say. His gameplay, like, nobody was like, oh, this guy, yep, round of 16, here he comes. It was more just like he was pretty okay, and then he chose to cheese at the right times, which shows his experience, so that was impressive. But otherwise, no, I would say there's not really that many upsets at all. It was sad to see Major play as bad as he did again. Harsum was the guy that probably should have got out over Petraeus on paper, but Petraeus played it really well. He gave Polt the best run for his money. Starbucks a disappointing Zerg cheeser. Hero Marine seems to kind of always underperform. Like a lot of people talk about how good he is. I think he's pretty damn good on the ladder, and he does okay offline, but never. You don't look at any event except for maybe an EPS in Germany and say that he's really good. So all in all, pretty normal.
Yeah, leaders of the groups: Polt, Hydra, Jaedong, and Marine Lord, all 2-0s. All no surprises there that they did that. Beastie, what about you? Any thoughts on the players that made it through or didn't make it through?
I guess the only upset you would say is maybe Alfie, but Alfie is pretty predictable if you just like scout and know what he's doing. He usually just does 2 base all-ins. I mean, Haas is like the reason why everyone hates Protoss this Terran. I think like his games are just disgusting, and maybe like a little bit of upset in Showtime not getting through. I would probably expect Showtime to beat Sen, which he did, but then he lost in Decider. I think Group A, Hurst and Petraeus either could go through, but that was pretty expected, I think, overall.
Okay. Yeah, it was there was a lot of good StarCraft. It was a lot of excitement. There's still, they're the typical ones that went through, and then one thing I do want to ask Jeff, what is Petraeus like outside of game? Because
super chill.
Yeah?
He's very quiet. He's got his little black rimmed glasses on, keeps himself, typical Australian, just his voice is liquid gold that you just want to drip down your nipples and consume in every orifice of your body possible. But like I guess definitely if you ask, how's that guy like? He's a funny guy. He's very different, Pig, very outgoing. And then Moonglade, of course, is like a little Australian superstar at this point in time. But Petraeus, very quiet. If you don't talk to him, he won't talk to you.
Yeah, I've seen him take some snipes at on Twitter, and I'm not sure if he's totally serious or not.
Australians are cheeky guys. The word cunt to every other word ratio is higher in Australia than anywhere else on planet Earth, and never do they say it out of malice. I don't even think they're capable. So I feel like. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say I feel like with Petraeus it's really hard because like with Aegis, I think with Aegis you can tell because he's just like dripping with sarcasm and cynicism, right? Like you can always tell like when he says like, okay, it's just Aegis, he's just like when he made those tweets about Haas, like, oh, it's just Aegis. But since Petraeus is kind of quieter and you don't see him as much, it's hard to tell like is he being actually a dick or is he just kind of messing around? I think that's why. Right? Do you kind of get that? I feel, or do you get that same impression? I feel like it's harder to tell with, like, I can understand how somebody could think it's harder to tell with him,
They're always messing around. An Australian will let you know that they're upset by a very animated frowny face. If you can see him in person and he's got an extremely frowny face and he's saying something, then they're being serious. But otherwise, Australians are always to be taken lightly.
Yeah, he said something.
Or New Zealand, it's the same thing, Goatzer. God damn it. Yeah, I made that mistake a whole bunch. And I called Sen. I said the Chinese scene is very insular, which is like so bad to say because Taiwan and China, of course, do not get along. But yeah, I'm American, so.
Petraeus fired off at Aegis something about like Aegis has something in his Twitter status about being the best in the Southeast Asia region or something like that, and then it was just this sling of cuss words like you change your fucking status, you prick, or something like that.
Yeah, that's not mad at all.
Hey, keep in mind they also lived together for quite a while too, didn't they? Petraeus and Aegis in the Root House. I'm almost positive.
They might have, yeah.
Because when I was there, I'm pretty sure both were there at the same time.
To not like Aegis. Aegis is kind of his own, like I don't know him very well, obviously, but he kind of gives me the impression of like he's got his opinion. He thinks such and such and doesn't really give a fuck if you agree or not. He's just kind of his own man. So
yeah,
I could see him being like, Petraeus, think you're a shit Zig, and he'll be like, oh, fuck you, mate, hate you, right, right bit, and then like, I guys will just kind of walk off and be like, I don't care.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna move forward now. A topic was brought up this week on Reddit, and the discussion was, how many premiere events have been have gone on in 2015 versus how many have gone on in 2014. This was discussed on Remax a little bit, kind of got heated between some of the guests, and what I went and did is I looked at the 2014 and the 2015 Premier events only because I wanted to see what are we actually looking at, right? Are we talking, okay, there's a huge drop off, people are starting to just completely give up on StarCraft? What is it exactly that's happening? So I'm going to pull it up. It's going to take up half the screen. I've already sent it to the guests, and we're just going to do a real quick rundown, and then we'll talk about why things have gone the way they have and whether or not, that's something to start screaming doom and gloom, or if we can just take a chill pill. So real quick, covering Jeff's face. Apologies, Jeff. Let's look at 2014, right? This bottom part here. 2014 events, you had 6 IEM, 6 DreamHack, 5 GSL, 1 Kespa Cup, 3 Red Bull events, SSL, first season started at the end of last year. Then you had the TESL, WCS, that's 3 NA, 3 EU, and then BlizzCon, WEC, MLG, 2 Home Story Cup, 1 Asus Rogue, and 1 MSI. Now, if you look at this year, what we've had already, we've had 4 IEMs, and I don't know if there is going to be StarCraft at Asia or Katowice. I assume it's going to be at Katowice because that's the finals. But then we've had 3 DreamHacks, we've had 3 WCS events, and we're going to have BlizzCon. Home Story Cup, 1 more is likely going to happen, then the 2 Kespa Cups, GSL, 3 events, and then 2 SSL, right? So if you look at it total, the possible ones for this year that we're seeing are 21 total versus last year's, confirmed 36. Some of those events from last year are no longer premier events. They were majors, right? So I believe Asus Rogue was a major this year. Actually, did they give points for that, Jeff? Do you know?
Asus Rogue?
Yeah.
I don't know specifically. I mean, it's a pretty easy Liquipedia search, but no, I don't know.
So we didn't have ROG wasn't a premier event regardless. We didn't have an MLG. There was no WEC, and if it was, it wasn't premier. MSI is not a premier this year. Red Bull, they turned their sights towards Archon mode, right? So we've had several Archon mode events. They're going to be there's going to be 1 live event this year, but they didn't do as much. They were working on Dota, right? So we see where 3 of those went. 3 less DreamHacks than last year. So the whole point this is getting at is that we have 15 less events this year than last year. But we also see that there were a lot of changes. For instance, the WCS change takes out 3 right there. So I'm going to pose this to Destiny because I know you've been very critical of the scene. You've been critical of, people dropping out and just kind of talking about where that what that bodes for the StarCraft community. Looking at this data, do you see it as, okay, this is, shit going bad for StarCraft, or do you see this just as things are spreading around in the esports world, and this is something that's just going to happen with the nature of StarCraft?
I mean, it doesn't sound like there's much room for interpretation of what insight are you looking for from me here?
I'm looking for, is this oh shit, the StarCraft world is ending, or is this, something that
I think it's just, I mean, it's just the way things are, how things are trending. WCS is really important. It's good that Blizzard has it for us there. Like, what are you trying to thwart me? Are you trying to bait me into shitting on StarCraft more?
No,
what are you doing?
I'm genuinely.
What's the agenda
hey,
here?
You know what, Steven? You might come out and you might say, hey, no, actually nothing's wrong. It's just some events have changed their tone, and when Legacy of the Void comes out, maybe we'll see some of them pick up a few more. So it could be good or bad. Jeff, you have a thought?
Yes. Let's not spend too much time on this, because to be honest, like, I understand people discussing this because it's a StarCraft related topic, I guess, but it's pretty dumb. Like, we are literally as close as we possibly can be in terms of a yearly calendar to the next installment of the game, Legacy of the Void. It makes absolute sense that for the most part, this is the winding down period of Heart of the Swarm. But in addition to that, as time goes on, StarCraft's fan base and like gaming dominance, if you will, going back to 2010 is continuously going to dwindle, because in that time we're having more and more big games that are geared towards esports. That'd be intense, but esports, like CSGO, still on the rise. Dota 2 had the International, the biggest prize pool tournament ever this year. League of Legends still doing very well. World of Warcraft announcing, like, that's not esports related necessarily, but the point is, on Twitch in particular, it's not just StarCraft anymore. This is like really old news. That's why the subject kind of pains me. But as time goes on, it's going to continue to be more and more the case, but also more and more games are getting bigger and bigger. So this is the year uniquely where StarCraft would take the biggest dive in terms of events, because it's never had bigger competition, but also I don't want to say it's never been less exciting, because Wings of Liberty was obviously a strong testament to that not being true. But this is the year of transition where it's like, yes, WCS is still good, and we're really thankful, and that's why we still have 21 plus events that are majors, and people still are watching and attending those. But it would be really weird if we had more, because what argument could you possibly have for StarCraft having more events? It's like, the viewership's no. The game is new with no. Like, there's no reason to. So in everything gaming, competitive, and just like logical sense, this is a downward slope. And then if you analyze the numbers themselves, it's like, well, that's almost 50%. Yeah, it almost is. But it's still 21 plus really big, cool events that did okay. Didn't do fantastically well, did less well than they have in years past, but still did okay. And that's about as good as you can hope for in the Heart of the Swarm scene today. Next year, with Legacy of the Void, I expect these numbers to go up. Is it going to be 50 premier events? Probably not. Is it going to be closer to like 35, 40? Yes, absolutely. Is the viewership going to be slightly higher? Yes, absolutely. And then should we then have the discussion? Jesus Christ! What if these numbers? I just Ian Goldberg this. In 10 years we'll have 70 bajillion. Like, no, that's not how it works. Games go up and down, and all the reasons make sense across the board. So that's why when this topic came up the first time, I had zero interest. And the second time, it's like what analysis could anyone possibly give that is like revolutionary here that they don't know?
Okay.
Lycan's just trying to get us thrown out of the community. I know what's going on.
Yeah.
I saw that video about how people reject new content creators. So you're trying to out with the old, in with the new, because so you can get in on the ground floor, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the new boys club. You know what I'm saying?
I think
pretty much.
I mean, it's like a couple of things. It's not just people are spamming that game. Like Jeff said, Legacy is coming out. There's no reason for organization to come and be like, oh, we'll host a tournament, in a month from now. There's no point. Like, no one is going to care week after because Legacy is coming. Like 3 months from now, no one is going to say, oh yeah, he won the last Heart of the Swarm tournament, because it doesn't matter. It's a completely new game. And I think another thing is the WCS, the Blizzard not releasing the dates for, the WCS itself. It's extremely hard to schedule and organize a tournament. Like, you need to, you can't just make a LAN event 2 weeks before. You need a couple of months. And Blizzard did not release any dates. And I know a couple of people that wanted to, do an event, even online, offline, doesn't matter. They can't schedule it at the same time when there's WCS playoffs, for example. And we also had, because of that, there's, so much WCS that, like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, we had 2 LAN events on at the same time. Like, they were overlapping because of this. Even though there's less tournaments than last year, but last year or years before were organized a lot better because WCS didn't take up so much time.
Mm-hmm.
And, we knew when they would happen and so on.
That's a good point. Any other thoughts before we move on?
Yeah.
No? Okay. Moving on. Excuse me.
Are we talking about Ding It today?
No.
I'm ready to. I really want to, Lycan.
Do you really want to? Or
You should put in a Destiny rant section where that's where you could talk about Ding It.
Yeah, I was thinking about
No, nah, that's because it's just dumb. Okay, so
wait,
personally,
sorry, are we going to Ding It? Because I got to change the title.
For like 2 seconds. I just want to say that really fast. Like, I don't like Ding It for a couple reasons. I think that the plugin stuff was really kind of bad in the beginning or whatever, right? Just because you don't like something, though, doesn't mean that you have to make up. Like, it hurts your argument when you make up a whole bunch of random fucking stupid shit. Like, I see these threads have been popping up where it's like, Ding It, and it happened in the CSGO community, too, where it's like, Ding It is a program that puts malicious bad code on your computer, and then, like, the evidence is, like, a screenshot of, like, Tyra Banks or something. Like, some random fucking completely unrelated shit. It's like, what the fuck are you even talking about? It's like, it's starting to, like, really bother me. That's all I got, sorry. It's been happening. Like, another guy just posted a thread about how Ding It is something, and it's just like a picture of ad block running, and it's like no evidence at all. Like, if there are legitimate reasons to not like something, why make up a whole bunch of random fucking stupid shit and then provide no evidence of it? Especially because a lot of things people talk about like injecting bad ads and doing malicious stuff, it should be really easy to prove. If you run Wireshark, or even if you open up the fucking, like, there's all sorts of different ways to post evidence of this. I'm done. That's all I got. Sorry. I love you.
Yeah, someone just posted a thread and is talking to me. And
the
also,
senpai liar. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah,
and then He summons I Bleed Orange to check me for vote brigading because
for vote brigading, yeah. But that's the same guy that I called out earlier, where he was like, "Oh well, I tried running Dingit. I VM'd and I used VMs and I sandboxed a Windows 7 install and I saw that Dingit was doing all of this bad shit." And I was like, "You went through all of that trouble for that? You couldn't post a single fucking screenshot? You can't post any evidence at all? Like you're just gonna say that?" And he's like, "Well, I figure anybody can open a VM." And like, really, dude? You really think anybody can fucking like? I don't even fucking know how to do that, right? I'm not the best at computers, but I figure that's probably way and above like most. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Well, the dude's telling me 25,000. He's like, I'm like, post your evidence. I was like, why wouldn't you post it if you go through all that trouble to figure this out? It's like, oh, 20,000 lines of code. I'm like, okay, no, there's ways to quantify this without posting 20,000 lines of code. There are ways to show it, but whatever.
Yeah.
Either way, no, I get what you're saying.
People do that shit where, like, if you don't like... People do this, and it's not just related to Dingit. People do this all the time. People do it to me. People have done it to Jeff. Right, Jeff, you notice this, right? Whenever the circle jerk is going against something, all of a sudden, like, every possible negative thing you could say becomes okay. Right? Have you noticed that? Where anytime the circle jerk is against a particular person or thing, every conceivable negative thing, like, oh, wait, oh, yeah, Orb said the N-word. Remember that? I'm pretty sure he also, like, raped a 4-year-old. Remember when that happened and everybody's like, oh, yeah, sure, he probably did. He did this. Like, anytime, or like, Idra, oh, yeah, didn't he? You know, like, every time the circle jerk is against a particular person or thing, it seems like any comment suddenly becomes permissible. All right, I'm done.
Beautiful. I love you. All right. Let's see. I think that's it. For that topic. Cool. Moving on. Mech versus Zerg. A less volatile topic than Dingit, right?
Oh boy.
All right. Beastie Cutie. Beastie. Big B.
Okay,
Little
so
QT. Talk to me.
So community is a bit biased. You know, every time a mech turn wins, it's like, boys, let's open threads, let's whine how mech is OP, let's, you know, when is Blizzard gonna fix this? Even though, you know, people started using mech maybe 2 months ago, like, like more than Bio in Korea. But when mech loses, it's like, oh, this guy sucks, the Zerg played, you know, so well and so on. Mech has to do a lot with maps, first of all. It's not possible to mech on every map. It's just how it is. And for some reason, Zergs in Korea choose to not veto maps like Terraform, which is probably the best for mech because you can split them up. Problem with mech, is it unbeatable if it reaches BC, Raven, Viking, Thor, Siege Tank? Yes, it is probably unbeatable if the players are equal skill, but you know, just like TVP is, you should not let Protoss get to 200 with, you know, 20 gates in Storm and Colossus. The same way the Zerg should not allow Terran to do, you know, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The matchup works exactly the same. You don't let Terran to get to that end game and then complain about it. Blizzard cannot.
That's like the worst argument. That's the worst argument ever. Wasn't that the whole argument? But wasn't that the whole argument against? Wasn't that the whole argument against like Infestors and Zerg and at the end of Wings of Liberty? Remember when everybody was like Protoss? Like Protoss, don't complain, just don't let them get to that end game of Infestors and Broodlords.
It wasn't the end. It was the last 2 years of Wings, but pretty much the whole Wings. But like,
no, it was okay when we had the toilet. When they took the toilet away, that's when it.
Oh, but for Terran, like we didn't have the toilet. We couldn't flush the Broodlords. But like, I'm not saying it's fine. I'm not saying that's how it should be. I'm saying that's how it is. And you know, Terran has been dealing with Protoss by killing it early, doing some damage. You cannot sit back as Zerg against mech and then go into the late game with, you know, no trades done and being like, oh, this is unbeatable. Yeah, it probably is. Like I said, BC Raven Viking is unbeatable against Zerg late game, but you should not just let Terran expand freely.
Jeff,
not all the maps are good for mech.
Right. Jeff, you got to see some mech this weekend, WCS. I mean, is it that, you know, Zergs aren't capitalizing on opportunities to take out mech before it gets to that point? Or is it very easy for a Terran to turtle and get to that point without Zergs being able to do a lot of damage, without them having a lot of options?
Well, I'm just piggybacking off of Beastie Cutie's point because he's absolutely right. It is that way. Like, you can see the mech taking shape pretty early on, and there's different variants. We saw Major fail with mech because he overextended and did the non-Raven style, which is more aggressive. And he lost pretty soundly. Like, the games were pretty fun, but for the most part, it was, you know, once again, Major kind of misplaying that style. on, I believe it was Terraform as well, actually, is the map where he overextended and died to Betrayus. Anyways, it was quite bad.
Yeah, he did.
But the reason there is frustration is because there is this belief that there really should never be an invincible army, which is interesting because throughout all of StarCraft 2, there probably has always been at least one invincible army between the three races, like at one point or another. And when we say invincible, we don't mean very, very difficult to kill, which is where BCQD's example, in my opinion, falls off a little bit. Like, Storm Colossus, extremely difficult to deal with. Warping in to resaturate and then kill from there, very difficult to deal with. But not an invincible army. Like, it's their trade-out that is super strong about it. Raven, static defense, battlecruiser tank is actually invincible. Like, it's land a lucky fungal and be in range to chain it for like 6, or you actually can't kill it. So that's where, for me, the meat of the argument comes up. Like, is that a good thing for the game? And I also agree with BCQD saying you shouldn't let them get to that. Like, and that's something that I do think Zergs. It's really tough, by the way, and that's something Zergs hate to hear. Like, because throughout all of Zerg, for all of StarCraft 2, it's always been like, you tried those Nidus Worms. They're like, I fucking have Nidus Worms. And it like doesn't work, but there are games where it's like they've got this invincible army and they've planetary fortresses choking up all the spots. Like, it's really fucking hard. But before then, to get to that point in time, they sat on Roach Hydra Viper and like ran around on a maxed army on 4 or 5 bases and did nothing while this Terran like really established. Super. And again, guys, I'm not sitting here being like Zergs have all misplayed it. It's really quite simple. You just kill them before they get no. But that's where the game's won or lost. Like, what happens after that is almost, it's just going through the motions, like trying to kill Raven invincible army. Nah, you're dead. Like, it's pretty much all or nothing mid game, and that's where, for me, I would side on the side of I don't think that's very good. But also why this argument's kind of convoluted for me is because the answer is not Swarm Host, which is unfortunately kind of what they're looking at with that latest patch update for HOTS. It's really, I really like the Viper Parasitic Bomb. Like, just fucking put that in Heart of the Swarm right now. Like, it doesn't break any compositions, but it does give you an answer against mech, because it's really the Ravens that make it super fucking impossible. The other parts of that composition make it really tough and very strong, but not actually impossible. The Ravens make it actually impossible. Parasitic Bomb kind of answers that.
Agree. BC, you've been playing a lot of
Can I?
Go ahead.
Can I ask a question? Because this is how it was, at least when I played, and it seems to kind of be pretty similar. I don't think the problem is so much like, oh, well, don't let him get there, blah, blah, blah. I feel like the problem with all of the Terran stuff that would always set people off so much, it had to do with the fact that, yeah, it would be nice to kill them before they ever got that deep into the game, but it seemed like it was like this combination of shit. It seems like Terran that are going like cancer mech, right? Not doing like what Major did, where you build mech and you push and you play intelligently and all that, but people that just do the cancer mech, where you just build the unbeatable army and you never die, right? It seems like the people that do that can expand very slowly, can very slowly like edge their way out to taking that 3rd or 4th. And when that Terran gets to 3 bases, it seems like they're almost guaranteed to be able to get a 4th. And then once they've got the 4th, then you're in for like a 45-minute game. Like, it seemed like there weren't very many opportunities, because the Terran is never moving out to attack or do anything like that. Or the Terran is never like exposing themselves. They're just very, very, very slowly edging themselves out to bases. Once they've got that 3rd base, keeping them off the 4th base was like the entire game. And if they got the 4th base, then you're playing a 45-minute game no matter what you do, period. That's how it seemed to play. Is it still like that, or do you think there are more opportunities for counterplay in the matchup now, or?
Well, if Terran could just like do what you just said, like camp, slowly take 3rd, and Avila would be the best player and he would be unbeatable. But that's not the case. You cannot, like, as mech, you cannot just, oh, I'm gonna just make siege things, I'm gonna just make Thors, I'm gonna just defend, and that's like, I'm gonna just expand. The Zerg is gonna take, like, he's gonna double expand, drone up, he's gonna tech 2 whatever tech he wants, max out, attack, remax in whatever you don't have, and you'll die. I tried that way, it doesn't work. You need to take 3rd around 10 minutes. You cannot take it at like 14 just to be safe. You're too far behind in economy, and that's something a lot of people don't see. Like, mech has weaknesses early game, and it has weakness around 10 minutes, because that's when the 2nd and 3rd factory come up. So you have no Thors or siege things. So the Zerg needs to respond correctly. Like, if you see the Terran is not going to move out, you just mass drone and go tech heavily, or you try to do like I don't know, some kind of timing. And then another weakness point is when turn is transitioning to Ravens. Like, to get to Ravens, you need to be ahead. If the game is even, you cannot just be like, okay, I'm gonna quit making siege things, I'll quit making Thors, and I'll go Ravens. It does not work that way, because if you get hit by Roach Hydra, you'll just lose everything, and your Ravens are gonna have like 75 energy, and you'll die. So the Terran needs to harass, it needs to move. If the Terran, deals them damage early game, the game is gonna go for 40 minutes, and it's gonna seem like unbeatable. But the Terran had the advantage throughout the whole game. Which allowed him to transition. And another thing is, what In Control said is, when the Zerg goes Roach Hydra, goes into turn, it fails, the Zerg keeps remaxing into Roach Hydra and keeps trading and keeps losing units. And from that point, the game is just lost. Like, the Terran can just safely expand, go to Ravens, and so on. And again, the game should not be like that, but it is how it is.
Gentlemen, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. And it's not like we're speaking in very definitive terms, and I think it's fairly fair to say, because again, on certain maps, by the way, which is an important element of this that does belong here, it does get to a situation that's very frustrating because it looks like there's literally nothing the Zerg can do. And so that's, anytime that kind of binary, exchange occurs in a real-time strategy game, but StarCraft in particular, it usually incurs a lot of frustration and a lot of, I don't feel like this is how it should be. You should almost always have some kind of option. And that's why Brood War's kind of held up to this high regard, high esteem, like, oh god, there was, they played with monocles and top hats and they always had chances and it was beautiful. Well, I'll tell you, Heartbreak Ridge, Brood War, Zerg versus Terran Mech, this is going to touch on two people that remember this. Jesus Christ. No, it was actually absolutely impossible. And they all actually did kind of play like a Vila, where they were like, take my natural, couple of tanks, take my third, couple of tanks, whole bunch of vultures, take my fourth, couple of tanks, whole bunch of vultures, some Goliaths, some science vessels, and the whole time the Zerg's like, they're like mutas, drop, fucking Ultra, Dark Swarm. They're doing everything they can, they just die. So it definitely has always happened in StarCraft. But I do like that Blizzard's working so close to the community, and I do kind of feel like, while it should never be like Terran gets this thing and then Zerg gets this one tech that shuts it down. So then Terran has to switch to this other thing and then Zerg gets this other thing. I don't like this like huge mega answer, hard to deal with, but I do like having tools that reward the better player that like maps it out. And what I like about Parasitic Bomb is it's a strong answer, but it's not the final solution. Like, if Terran still separates the Ravens and protects them with Thors and long-range units and behind stacked defenses, Parasitic Bomb's really not a super big answer. So, in that game, it's still up to the Zerg to do something up until that point, like Beastie Cutie talked about, double expanding, like if they taking advantage of their immobility, dropping. Nidus is stronger. You can't kill the Nidus Worm, like it's guaranteed to pop out, and then it becomes vulnerable. So there is going to be answers. Faster drop, early harass, like Ravagers as a semi-siege unit. Lurkers are strong. Like, you're going to have some answers in Legacy of the Void. And if you like wait until the Mega Army, and then you're like, well, Jeff told me Parasitic Bomb is the final solution, you're going to be fucking pissed.
Can we stop making the Hitler analogies? Because it's making me very uncomfortable as somebody that's 1/16th Jewish. Thank you.
Is that chat? Are you reading chat? I didn't say anything about Hitler. But anyways, in Heart of the Swarm, it's tough, and you're just gonna have to resign yourself to, you can't let them get there, because for right now they're not gonna make the change, I guess, with Parasitic Bomb, and then you got to go.
I mean, Legacy's coming out soon anyway. I don't know why people are so upset with it now. It's been like this for, months and months.
That's what I said about fucking Brood War and Fester. Does no one else see the parallels? Am I the only one? The irony is just not.
You're the only one.
Oh, trust me, I know about
I don't know. Kind of, it feels like we're talking about like Infestor Broodlord again. Like, oh well, like the next game's coming out soon, and oh well, you just have to like kill them before they get there, and oh, it is kind of hard. Because there were some Zergs that even said it, like, oh, Broodlord Infestor is kind of hard because the Protoss can, Warp Prison drop you and kill you beforehand if you don't defend against that. I don't know, maybe it's just me.
But, the moment Heart of the Swarm came out, the Zergs were like, God, remember that time in Wings where we just massed Infestors and Broodlords? Holy shit, that was so good. But when you asked them in Wings, they were like, no. You just have to, like, hit a timing and just kill it. It's like, no.
Sure. Okay.
Good luck, Zergs. You're gonna fucking need it.
Whoa.
All right, you guys. Any other thoughts on this?
It's like Coda and Terraform that are the really problematic mech maps.
Yeah,
The other
those
ones
are the
aren't
only
as
ones
bad.
that are like good. The other ones are.
They'll
Ah,
try
Dash
it.
too.
It's rough. Yeah, you have more.
Yeah.
So that's part of it too. Is like as long as we stay away from maps that are really confined, like that, they're also really good for Protoss in that regard too. So it's.
I
But yeah,
mean,
it's okay.
the good side is mech is that kind of mech is dead in Legacy, completely dead. I think air mech is completely dead in Legacy.
We'll
So,
see, Beastie Cutie. We'll fucking see.
Vipers are pretty good.
Liberator's coming to bring the good, sweet loving of Reagan.
That Viper shit
Reagan?
is like Viper shit.
Ah.
The Viper parasitic bomb. It feels so good because it's been so long since I wanted to get Terrence back for fucking irradiating my flocks of mutas. And you're like you're trying to like pick out like the mutalist, like fuck, which one is it? And you're like they're flying all the way and the health is dropping and it's like the guy cutting the wire on the bomb and you're trying to figure out which mutalist is irradiated and when you finally get it, like another side shows up and irradiates another one in the middle, like and then they all die. I feel that way now when I have the parasitic bomb. When you fly in with like 8 Vipers, you just start doing it. You see them like frantically trying to split up the not the Valkyries, the Liberators, and yeah, it feels good, man.
Feels
Jesus
good.
Christ. One last thing is they are bringing in the old Swarm host to it.
No, it's not the old one.
I'm sorry. Correct. Thank you. They're considering bringing the Legacy of the Void Swarm host into the Heart of the Swarm as a solution for the time being. What do you think about that, Beastie?
Wait, what
He's
does
got that-
Legacy with the Void Swarm host do?
Yeah, I don't think I've
What
ever
is
even
Swarm?
built it before.
Aren't they
does
the
it do?
same?
No, so it has flyers automatically, I believe, is the upgrade.
Oh, well,
that
the
it
thing
has.
is, that's like, it's completely the wrong game. Like Swarm host that they were in HOTS maybe would be usable in Legacy, because you don't have time to build Swarm host. There's a problem right now in Legacy. There's too many unusable units that are just worse than the new units, or just have no place in the game. For example, Swarm host, Banshee is one of those. Like, why would you make a Banshee when you can just make a Liberator?
Mhm.
Like, there's no role. The tech is too fast. The benches are just useless. But I don't think adding like instant, flying locust is gonna fix anything.
They gave the Banshees
Turns
a
will just
range and
defend.
speed upgrade, I believe. That'll
Yeah, but you
Kinda
need
cool.
fusion core for that. So
yeah, late game harass. Be zipping around no time, Beastie Cutie. Call you Banshee Cutie.
maybe
Wow.
one day, not today though.
Okay. Stand by 1 second. Let's see. What do we want to... All right. All right. I'm going to like come clean and be completely honest. Red Bull sent a tweet out that gave a bunch of the Call of Duty Black Ops 3 beta codes, and I tried getting one before they were all used up, and I missed it. So I'm going to drink myself to sleep tonight. Anyway, cool. We are going to go take a break. Before we go to the break, though, I do want to say we have a guy known as the Video Game Attorney. He's done a few AMAs on Reddit. I think he does a weekly one on Game Dev, and then he was known by a lot of Reddit for the one he did on the main AMA site. He's going to be coming on, answering your legal questions. We're going to talk about drug testing in esports, and anything you post in the Reddit thread addressed to him will also be asked. Lupa is going through and taking all your questions, so we don't have to dig through the trolls. So you can go find the post on Reddit and ask your question. Just make sure you address it to him to help us sort through them easily. And we'll be back in a few minutes. Talk to you soon.